escaping the realm of darkness. The paranormal guys are on a quest to find the answers to the hard questions of where the normal meets the paranormal and the weird, and where the natural meets the unnatural. So grab your holy water, call your mama, and get ready for the Paranormal Guys podcast. Back to the Paranormal Guys podcast.
Oh, hello, everyone. Neil here. And Scotty.
Look what we have with us.
And guess who we have? We have Miss DeEtte Ranae, medium, psychic. She is going to be part of the seance at the Roth House on October 26th. This is my newest buddy, my newest pal, my newest chum.
Oh, we have so much fun. I'm still missing you guys. I can't even tell you. I was having like DTs on that third Wednesday that we weren't together.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, it was bad.
We spent a long time inside the Roth home. And
I can't believe you call her chum.
Chum. I can say the word chum. It's a new
Yeah,
world, dude. I can
Isn't
use
that like
any
fish?
kind of thing I want.
Isn't that like fish crap or whatever it is?
Well, you're thinking all on Popeye vocabulary right now. Popeye
Shiver me
vocabulary.
timbers.
So, Ranae, tell us a little bit about yourself so all our listeners know, and that you're going to be part of the seance on October 26th. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
God, I really want to be just funny and say, well, I'm a female, and kind of go from there.
Female about 5'8".
About 5'6",
I'm going to
5'6" and a
debate.
half.
I'm going to debate you on both of that. So
About 150 or so, give or take, depending on the day.
Give or take a burger.
Give or take a burger. Yeah. Part-time nanny, part-time psychic medium, take your pick. But yeah, predominantly psychic medium and teacher of psychic mediumship development. So that's my full-time jobs. That's what I do for a living. Yeah, it's basically what I do. And I guess we're adding a little bit of filming here and there, which is pretty incredible. So I'm what would most people would consider, that second life psychic medium. And what I mean by that, it's not that, we're not doing this our whole life, because we're born with it, and it's very prevalent in our life. But a lot of mediums, especially these days, you're finding us over the age of 40 all of a sudden popping up and like, hey, we're here, and I think it's because we finally start to allow ourselves to be who we truly are. We don't let society get in our way of doing that. So yeah, so
I'm a big believer in that. Be who you are and be happy with what you do. Don't get dictated by how everybody else wants to dictate you.
Yeah, that's huge, because I allowed that for 21 plus years. Yeah, a long time. I was a nurse and lots of experience. I cannot honestly say I enjoyed the field on any level, because it's just not where I was supposed to be. But it did afford me to really open up those clairsentience, part of me, that feeling, so that once I was able to walk away from that, I also do medical intuitive work for people. So it really afforded me to be able to do that, and really a place to practice without the knowledge of knowing you were practicing.
So you say medical intuitive. Explain for our listeners what that is.
So medical intuitive. So basically how I work, and I'll tell you what, every medical intuitive, every psychic medium is going to work different for the most part, how we get our information. But for me as a medical intuitive, I use my body as kind of like a barometer. So when I go and when somebody hires me for that, my body becomes a clean slate. I'm not feeling any of my aches and pains. I'm not feeling anything like that. And I basically reach out to the person in front of me and allow myself to feel what's going on in their body. So if, they're having problems swallowing, if they're having a problem with their heart, whatever this might be, I will feel those symptoms. Really? And then I talk to the person about the symptoms, and we just keep going until all of a sudden I'm getting, oh, wait a second, this is what it feels like it is. And a lot of times people come to me because they have everything going on. They've gone to the doctors. There's no remedy. They can't figure out what's wrong with them. And a lot of times, they get the old thing that it must be in your head, just get more sleep, lose 10 pounds, whatever it might be. And they're still suffering. So they come to me. I even have doctors that come to me, and I'm helping them adjust their own medications by their labs based on what and I know that sounds really weird, but literally I will go into my body and feel how they're feeling and sense where their labs are. And then I literally will say to myself, like, look at their medications and read it and see how it feels in my body. And then tell them what it feels like. Now it's always what it feels like to me, because I'm not I don't diagnose. I cannot legally diagnose. So I give that person the information. I always tell them, please go to your doctor. Please go get checked out, because that's really the only person that can do much with it. But I've had ladies come to me and I felt something in your breast. I'm like, I don't know what this is, but do you mind going to the doctor? In my mind, I'm seeing breast cancer, but obviously I can't tell them I'm seeing breast cancer, so, but they've come back a year later saying, thank you. You know what? They found it early because of what you've seen. I was diagnosed, went through treatment, and I'm here to to tell the tale. So it's probably a really rewarding part of my job.
And what would you say, percentage-wise, that you've probably really alerted people ahead of time?
I don't know, because it's not, they come back to me a lot. I have one lady, oh my gosh, I giggle. I giggle at this one because I'm not an animal communicator. I mean, I can talk to animals. It's just not my forte. I let the animal world deal with the animal kingdom. And this lady hired me, and she's like, we can't figure out what's going on with my dog. I put like over $10,000 into this. They can't figure it out. They've tried everything else. And I went, okay, well, I apparently during the reading, because I never remember the readings, apparently in this reading, I said, it's his diet. And she went, it can't be. I said, I'm hearing it's his diet. He needs X, Y, and Z in his diet. And she went, okay, whatever. I didn't hear from her for 6 months or whatever. Didn't know why. I guess I didn't, it either sucked as a reader and it was good. You never know. You really don't. When you just leave it out there, you just hope for the best.
Right.
And she hired me again, and she came in and she goes, I need you to look at the iguana now.
I need you to look at my iguana. Like you hear that every day.
I was about to go in for surgery the next day because she's a huge people person, or a huge animal person, willing to sell her house to take care of her animals.
Wow.
But anyway, so we kind of looked at the iguana, we looked at her other dog, and I said, you have another dog? She's like, I said, yeah. She goes, there's nothing wrong with it. I said, was that the one I worked with first? She goes, yeah. I said, how's it doing? She goes, oh, you fixed the problem. I said, I did. She goes, yeah, it was all about his diet. And I said, I don't remember that. She goes, yeah, but she goes, the vet's not too happy. And I said, why? She goes, because when I came in with the iguana, he asked how the dog was doing. I said, okay. And she goes, there's nothing wrong with the dog. He's doing great. She goes, oh, so he finally found treatment. She goes, no, you didn't. We figured out someplace else. He goes, where? She goes, I called my psychic. He's like,
yeah, that guy must have been like this, huh?
Solve your dog's issue. So, a lot of times, if you help somebody solve an issue that they've been going on, they don't necessarily come back to you, because if you're just there for medical intuitive, there's no reason for them to, really hire you again.
Right.
So that, I guess I always look at, I must have done a pretty good job if they're not calling back, like still having the same issues.
Otherwise, they could be dead.
There's that too. And then I'm going to talk to another way.
Right. We're going to both talk to them no matter what.
Scotty, do you do that at all? Talk to animals?
Yes, I do talk to animals. That's why I work at a zoo.
That's right. You do work at the zoo. That's right.
It's not for the people.
Do you remember, DeEtte, a story, and Scotty, do you guys remember a story about the sleeping psychic named Edgar Casey? You guys know that story?
He's my idol.
Yeah, we all know Edgar.
Yeah, he's quite dead. He's quite dead.
He's quite dead.
He's quite
I don't care.
You can talk to us.
Yeah, that's actually a very amazing story. So when you were talking about that, the intuitiveness, medical intuitiveness, I started thinking Edgar Casey. That's such a weird story. It's an odd story.
So as a spiritualist, Edgar Casey is probably one of the ones that our faith talks about a lot. And the stuff he does, it corresponds with spiritualism in its form. So.
Yeah, it's an amazing story. I remember the first time I read that, I think I was about 19, 20 years old when I read the story of Edgar Casey. It's just an amazing story. And I remember reading it, listening to it on the old Art Bell show, too, all about Edgar Casey. So let me ask you a question, DeEtte. How did you know that you were a psychic medium? What profound, dramatic thing in your life happened that you recognize that you're not like everybody else?
Was born.
Here I am, baby.
Well, you know, I mean, I'll tell the story because it gets told a lot. Because it's not the story that, oh my gosh, I've been talking to dead people my whole life. Literally when I was born, my mother nicknamed me pretty much my nickname was DeEtte, shut up, you don't know everything. Because I was this person that I was the know-it-all kid. I mean, that I was that annoying one that put my hand up before the question was asked. It was just ridiculous. But we didn't know what was going on with me. My mom just thought I was kind of this know-it-all kid. I was kind of a pain in the tush. And I heard a lot that, like, you're just like your father. Now, my father wasn't in my life. He decided to exit out when I was 5. So, we didn't have, I never understood what that meant, It turns out my father was a know-it-all too. But when I was 9 years old, not
Holy
for good
DNA.
Yeah, it's in the DNA. Anyway, when I was 9, I had a grandmother, and she, entered into the hospital, and I wasn't allowed to go in the hospital because back then you had to be 13 in order to go up in the rooms. And so I knew she went there. I didn't know why. One night I had a dream about her, and in the dream, we walked around the hospital. I remember not paying attention to her in the dream. And then we get to this room, and she opens up a door, and in this bed is this old lady with oxygen and IV. And she goes, DeEtte, who is that? And I looked at this, and I went, Grandma, that's you. And then she goes, but who am I? And I went, I'm confused, and I remember this is like my first really vivid dream. And then, of course, I'm paying attention, and she tells me the difference between a body and a soul. That's it. She told me her body wasn't working anymore, that her soul was going to go on, and that I wasn't to be afraid because I could talk to souls. That was it. I woke up that morning and told my mom Grandma died. She told me, DeEtte, you don't know everything. Go back to bed. And about 10 minutes later, so my mom gets a phone call that Grandma had indeed died. Okay. So that was that first, when I look back, that first time you went, oh my gosh, this is what it is. But as a child, without anybody around knowing what's going on, I wasn't taking into account all the times, countless nights of going to sleep with covers up around my face, terrified, because you can feel something or something's there. But everybody's telling you, there's no such thing as a monster. There's no boogeyman. It's all in your head. Go to sleep, and being literally terrified out of your skin because something's standing there.
So you were terrified as a kid? That's so sad.
Yeah. I was.
I've never been afraid of spirit. I've never been.
Yeah, as a kid, I was terrified because I couldn't see them. I could feel them. It was just like feeling.
Yeah, I was the same way. I was scared, Scotty. Scotty, when did you start? What age were you when you started noticing these things?
5. 5.
Yeah.
5. And you're going to tell me you were not scared?
Never have been afraid of spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Never. No.
Not me. In the beginning.
I mean, I've never have. I mean, it's always been a thing. I mean, I've been afraid of humans forever because they're the ones that treat you like shit.
Right.
They're the ones that said all this stuff. Spirits never did. Spirits always wanted to come and talk to me and hang out with me, and because they knew I could see them, they knew I could feel them, they knew I could talk to them. So I've never had that. I've never been, even when I go into haunted houses, and I've worked in serial killers' houses and stuff. I've not been afraid of them either. I mean, it's been creepy and stuff like that because they get to you, but I've never been afraid. I will swing when somebody jumps at me because I'm afraid of the humans coming after you. Right. Because humans are way more weird than spirits are.
Now, DeEtte and Scotty, that's amazing to me. Number one, I think that's amazing that you were never scared, because me as a child, I was scared for some of the things that happened in my life. But it's just amazing to me because I was a child. But man, you were very strong.
I was too, and I've always loved it, and so I just went to my 40th class reunion. So I'm an old man, but so when I went back, all the kids will remember. They go, I remember you talking about this. I remember this. I remember you always saying that. We never believed you, but I remember, And then I just gave a reading to one of the guys that I played sports with. He called me up after the reunion. He says, I got to hear what my wife said. I said, okay, right, here it goes.
Wow, that's awesome.
He was like, "Holy cow!" I mean, and it was a great reading. She came through right, spot on. But I mean,
Beautiful.
it's always been about, and I know we talk about it all the time. I know DeEtte and I talked about it even when we were talking to Dave Schrader the other
Right.
day when we were at the event together. It's all
Right.
about the story. I mean, it's all about, and people go, "What story?" The story of the spirit. That's
Mhm.
why. That's why they come back to us, because they want to either be remembered or they want to help the people that they know.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I hear you.
And then, but if they're ghosts, because I always say spirits are the ones who crossed all the way over. Ghosts,
Yep.
ghosts are the ones that are stuck here.
Yeah.
And so if
Yep.
they're ghosts, then that's our job as mediums to go ahead and work with that spirit to see if we can get them to cross. We can't cross them. And I always say that to anyone that says they cross spirits, they go, "No, you
It's a
work
choice,
with
right?
spirits. Yes,
You
the
work
choice
with
of the spirit. You
Yeah.
work with them.
Yeah.
You can tell them the coolness of what the other side is. You can show them by, having your spirit guides talk to them and all this type of stuff. But it's you working with them, but it's still their choice. It's still that spirit's
Yes.
choice to cross over. We can't do it. We don't have a miracle thing. Like I always say, so imagine you're on the street corner and you see this old lady standing there, and you got to get her to the other side. So you start pulling her and go, cross the street. Come here, old lady, cross. And she goes, "I'm waiting for the bus." So,
Yeah.
That's a very good point. That's a very good point.
but that's the same thing that paranormal investigators do all the time. They go, "Oh, we got to cross the spirit over." How do you know that they want to? How do you know that they're not there for a reason? And how do you know that they're not a spirit, not a ghost? I mean, I mean, you can figure it out pretty easy, but I mean, a lot of people don't know the difference.
Right.
And they don't. And and correct me if I'm wrong on this, guy, but I have a lot of people that come to me going, "Oh, I can cross anything over. I do it all the time. I bring in prayer and I bring in this and I bring in that." And I'm like,
Yeah,
Nobody
did
asked.
you ever hear about free choice? Freedom of choice of a soul. We have freedom
right.
of choice.
We always have it. No, here and thereafter, we always have that choice. That's what this whole thing is about, and that's what God gave us. Whatever you want to call God, but that's what God gave us is free choice.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this. Me and Scotty, we had a conversation last week, DeEtte, and I want to get your opinion on it because this is actually a deep conversation. What's that?
We actually had it off the air, didn't we?
Scotty said.
Whatever Scotty says.
Yeah, we had it off the air, didn't we, Neil?
Yeah, we did this totally off the air. And like a lot of things, me and him, we'll just sit back and just BS a little bit, and we'll talk because we're still actually kind of getting to know each other. So I want to kind of know his thoughts on things because I totally respect what he does, and I've listened to him at certain things, and I listen to him, but I always have questions.
Right.
Because like I tell everybody, there's no such thing as experts. There's only people who are very good researchers and listen.
Right.
So one of the conversations that we talked about was take, for instance, like serial killers or murderers or whatever. And we were talking about like suicide too, right? And we were talking about what about a murderer? We'll say like John Wayne Gacy, or he brought up Hitler.
Right.
And I want to ask your input on this, DeEtte. Is
I won't say a word until the end.
Yeah, please. That's great.
Let's see if I get it right, huh?
Exactly.
No, it's not that you get it.
You're being graded. You're being graded.
I had to do a presentation for Scotty not long ago, and I was like, "Guy's like, you did great. Like you knew your shit." I kind of know my stuff, but it's Scotty.
It's totally your opinion.
It is my
what
opinion.
you think. Take for instance like murderers. So I'm going to ask this question.
Yeah.
Murderers, they do some horrific things, and a lot of lives, the ripple effect, like me and Sky talked about, it affects a lot of people's lives.
It does.
What do you think, or how does it go about after they pass? Are they able to go to the other side? What is your opinion how this transition works for evil people?
Okay, well, let me do it on a story. It's a fable story, so it's not a true story. I mean, it is a true story in some aspect, but it's one that I use when I teach. Because we talk to those people that murdered, we talk to those people that molested, we talk to those people. So one, you always have to keep your ego out of it. And my students always kind of look at me like, well, murderers are, there's limits. And I go, well, let me tell you a story. You have a man and woman happily married. They've got children. they're happy as can be. And one day, nobody knows what happened, but the wife blacked out. And she ends up murdering her husband, but heinously murdering him, like really, multiple stab wounds, just heinously murdering him. And when she came to, here she is with a knife and blood and her husband. And she's distraught because she doesn't know what's happened. She doesn't know why she's done this. Okay. And she's taken to jail and she's taken to court and she goes through this process and she ends up on death row. Okay. And in death row, she's already religious, but she's doing a lot of praying. She's asking for forgiveness. She won't see her family. She won't see anybody because of what she's done to them. She's in her ego. All she can think of is, oh my God, what I've done to all these people, because he was this great guy, this amazing guy, helped everybody. And it comes to a few days before her execution. And on this night, she's asking for forgiveness, but in her mind thinking she'll never be forgiven. So angels show up and they say, you've been forgiven. She's like, oh, no. God's never going to let me in. I cannot be forgiven. Murder is one of the deadly sins. I'll never get to heaven because of what I've done. He was a great guy. I've destroyed him. I destroyed his family. I destroyed everybody. There's no way I'm getting to heaven. Just go away. I can't believe you. So the next night comes, and this is the night before she's going to get executed. And on this night, her husband comes. And he says, hon, I need you to forgive yourself. And she said, no, I killed you. I took you from me. I took you from our children. I took you from your parents. I cannot. He goes, no, what you did was give us a gift. Because before we came here, before we decided to get in bodies, we contracted. And I wanted to die in such a way, so dramatically, that it was going to rip me apart because I wanted that experience. And our children wanted to feel that loss of love, of being ripped. And my parents wanted to know death in that way, that death of love that they could not get any other way. And you volunteered your life to give all of us that. That whole ripple effect, they all contracted for it. You helped so many souls to understand something they could never understand in heaven. And you gave yourself for that.
See, you're amazing.
Give yourself so that you can come to heaven and have a peaceful passing to be with me again.
Yep. So
forgiveness.
So DeEtte, that's the exact same story, basically, that I told Neil last week.
Yeah.
And I said it about Hitler. And I know that one brings a lot of pain for a lot of people.
It does, yeah.
But I said to him last week that Hitler had to play the role.
Mm-hmm.
Hitler chose to be that person, but look at how many more people have become closer. Their families are stronger. Their lives, future lives are better. Yes, they got killed back then, but look at what they've done and where their families have grown and that type of thing. And I said that about Judas. I said that about, look at all these people through history that have played these roles that we needed. We needed these guys to be that so that we could grow as a society and as humans and that's what it is. It's about that growth, that understanding. So they have to play those roles, and I thank them for playing those roles, even though it was tough to do. I bet.
Well, it doesn't just end with, like, let's use Hitler. It doesn't just end with that one lifetime.
Correct.
Because I've had clients, and I'm not going to mention names or exact everything, but I did a reading for a family in this lifetime that struggle with the different dynamics of their family. And the reading ended up being a past life reading. And it went back to Hitler. And literally they all had different roles in that lifetime. And they're horrendous. And then they came back in this lifetime in similar roles to now heal what was not healed then. But they already had the one dynamic of growth in that lifetime, and they're able to continue the dynamic in this one.
Correct.
And if they don't find that forgiveness and finish that growth in this time, they'll come back a second time and have a different role to finish that growth. Because people don't realize the soul only knows unconditional love. It's what's heaven. It's unconditional love. That's what it is. If a soul wants to learn something, it has to get into a body. Now, I know a lot of people are going, oh, but I've read about 5D. I've read about this. Yeah, it's all true. But if you look at society, when you go back to, let's go before Jesus. Let's go way back when, okay? We've been upping the ante on everything. We've been upping it. Why? Because we need more things to learn. We need more growth. We need more experiences. And we are getting into that 5D, which is all love. It is all, because why? Our souls are figuring out why we're in the body. And now we're in the body, because when the soul gets in the body, things get kind of jumbled. But we're getting back to that point of being the soul in the body.
Right. But here's the thing with the 5D, and this is where my big thing is. If you're going to be 5D, you got to have unconditional love. And not everybody goes there, no matter what it is. Because I try to be that as much as I can. And, I yell at people in cars and stuff. And and you know me well enough that I try that. And I can't ever get there because I can't. And so we won't all get there yet. There's so many people that can't, because you don't take the ownership for yourself. You don't take the ownership for your faults. You don't take the ownership for the stuff that you've done. And then to be able to do that here on earth, you have to be able to, it's like life review. You have to go through that now, so that you can be in the fifth dimension here. And a lot of people will never get there because they blame others. They think that their religion's better. They think that their politics are better. They think that all this stuff is better instead of just loving somebody.
Yep.
And we talked about it earlier about between ghosts and spirits. The spirit is one that's of unconditional love. And if you can feel that from a spirit, then you know that they've crossed all the way over, because you can't be anything other than that. They can come back and kind of like swear like they used to do, so you would believe that that's your dad,
Right.
But they're going to come back, but they're still going to be of unconditional love. But the ones that are tricksters and stuff like that, and the ones you have problems with, are the ghosts. Like the one that jumped into you, the one that's a ghost. You know what I mean? That's the bad stuff, and that's what we have to understand. So I mean, it's easy to figure out the spirits around you, but that's what I say. Everybody can cross over. Everybody can. You just have to choose it.
Right.
Well,
and that's why that's why I agree with Scotty. 5D is real, but it's going to take a few. I think it's just starting now, because you're getting more people aware. The Pope even said psychic mediumship is real, and it's not around spiritualism. It's not around being a psychic medium. It's around allowing people to be themselves and explore who they are. And that really is just starting now. It's going to take a few lifetimes, which you're looking at 100, 200 years for it to get to that point where we're all walking in 5D. But eventually that's what we're looking to go, is to get back to essentially heaven on earth.
But see, that's where it is. That's what gets me right now is all this hatred towards others in about who they are. Let anyone be whoever they want to be. They want to be a girl, good. They want to be a guy, good. They want to be an alien, good. I don't care. Let a person be themselves. Let themselves just be happy. And because in spiritualism, we always say you make your own happiness and unhappiness. And that's what it is. And we do. And spirit does that too. Because that's why they don't cross over, because they choose to be unhappy yet, even in the other side. When you could go and be of unconditional love, then go be that. That's what the ultimate is.
Well, and I don't know if I actually brought this up to Scotty, Bear Boy, and I looked at Scotty. I said, Scotty, I don't know if I should call you a man or a woman. He goes, well, why? And I said, it's too many lifetimes. I've known you for so many lifetimes that you've been a man, you've been a woman, you've probably been the family dog, maybe the rock in the backyard, who knows?
The rock. Yeah.
It gets really, I tell people that all the time. You want to complain about your life today? Let's talk about when you were a rock. And they look at me and they're like, what? I'm like, and sometimes I think, we get confused on things because we've lived a million lifetimes. And who cares? Be whatever your favorite one was.
Right.
You know what? I appreciate both of you guys, and I agree with a lot of both what you're saying, but I have to put in my input, because I'm not going to. I have to believe what I believe. I believe that there are repercussions to your actions. I believe that certain individuals hold on, let me finish, Scotty.
I said that last week, and I said that this week. I never said that.
All right. So I believe that there is repercussions to your actions. And how I mean that is, let's say we have a murderer, okay, and he's killed, and we'll say John Wayne Gacy, and I brought it up to this guy last week. I believe this is the only way that they're going to cross over, is that they have to feel that ripple effect of everyone's pain. And they have to find it then after feeling that pain, knowing within themselves that they did wrong, because that's their growth. The growth that you guys are talking about is the growth from the families, from the ripple effect, for their growth. For that individual who caused the action, that person also has to grow by being able to grow from feeling all that pain and knowing what he or she did was wrong. That's my opinion on that. I believe
and I agree with that.
And 110%. But what people don't realize is, let's break it down. And if Scotty wants to, interject here, let's just break down what everybody talks about is we die, our loved ones are there. There's a tunnel and a light at the end of the light at the end of the tunnel. Let's break it down to that. Now, I always look at people, because I am a medium and I've been there for a lot of people passing. And even though I've done mediumship readings before somebody's passed and their loved ones are right there, every time that I've been there as a nurse, when somebody passed, the loved ones kind of back away because it's not their specialty. And guides show up.
Correct.
It's their specialty to cross them over. It's kind of like when you're born, you want a doctor there to get you out. On the other side, you got somebody else coming out. You're coming out of as a brand new soul out of this body with all the memories and all the feelings and all that's going on. The loved ones are there, but now they're at the end of the tunnel because they're going to let the specialist take over. You do enter the tunnel, but during this tunnel is your life review. Now, people have this wild expectation that your life review is you looking at your life the way through your eyes, and it's not what it is. Your life review is seeing everything through everybody else's lives that you ever affected, feeling how they felt because of your actions.
Yeah, the other thing, though, I agree with that, but the one biggest thing is even though it's a murderer, we have to look at that just as a little piece of your life. You weren't a murderer your whole life. You were the good brother. You were the good sister or whatever. You had some good in your life. Even though you had this time when you were a murderer, there's other good that happened. So you have to look at your entire life and everything that you've done, good, bad, and ugly. That's what I always say. You are judged for everything, but you're forgiven because God forgives. God doesn't hold it against you. You hold it against yourself.
Right. And when you exit the tunnel, when you've done the whole review. So exactly what you're saying is exactly what happens. It's just that people have got in their minds that, oh my gosh, I passed away and I'm with my mom again. Well, you are, but she's at the end of the tunnel. She's waiting for you to go through this process. For you
to get done with your work.
Your work, which is, okay, I need to get back to this portion where I am love, I am light, I'm unconditional love. I'm back to this. Now, who knows how long that takes? I think for some people it might be happening quick. Some people maybe not so quick. But I'm not.
I don't even know. Hitler could be still in the tunnel.
Yeah, they could, and that's just it, because you have somebody that's a self-punisher that's really a good person because they self-punish all the time out of, smallest thing. They might take longer in the tunnel than the guy that murdered somebody. Right. You never know.
All right, so we got to do a little break. So everybody hold tight. We're going to come right back. This is some very cool conversation. Let me tell you. Stand by.
Hey, boys and ghouls, Neil here from Graveside Paranormal Ghost Tours. Join us on October 26th in Watseka, Illinois for the seance at the Roth House, known for the story The Watseka Wonder, the first documented possession in America, or was it a spiritual miracle? In the end, you decide. We're going to be having ghost tours throughout the house every hour on the hour, from 1 p.m. to about 2 o'clock in the morning. We are going to have vendors. We're going to have speakers. Mr. Dave Schrader himself of the Paranormal 60 podcast, as well as the Holzer Files, will be your MC for the day. Miss DeEtte Ranae will also be out there doing the seance at 7:30 at night. And guess what, girls and boys? We are also going to be filming a documentary. So each and every one of you can be part of this unique experience. So go to gravesideparanormal.com to further details about our event, or on Facebook, and go to Eventbrite at The Seance at the Roth House. So grab your holy water, call your mama.
All right, we are
You
back.
cannot tell Scotty not to say boo anymore.
That's my word, man. That's my thing. So this is actually some really cool conversation. Let's talk
but
about.
Like I told you, Neil, last week. I mean, let's just keep talking real quick. It's not that we don't believe in that you have to atone for yourself, because you have to see what you did.
Right.
But it doesn't have to be a lifetime or a million years that you got to do it before God says, okay, come on over. God is willing whenever you're ready.
Yeah.
You have to atone for it. If you believe that you effed up, then you effed up, and okay, I did it. I feel bad. Okay. God goes, okay, you feel bad. Time to move on.
Right.
So, but everyone makes it so tough to cross over. It isn't. It's you have to believe in yourself. You have to atone. You have to then become of love. And that's what we were talking about before with this 5D thing that everyone's talking about. Try to be that now. Try to atone now for everything that you do. Try to be that person now, because then when you hit to the other side, you can become your highest and best good. You can become that so much easier because you're living it now. And then you take the ownership now for the stuff you do. And nobody does that right now. A lot of, and I'm just generalizing, but a lot of people don't. They always have to blame others. They always have to say, well, I would be this if this didn't happen. Or I
agree 110%.
Do it because you did it.
Yeah.
Right.
If you're in a relationship, you're having a bad time with this person in a relationship, it's because of what you're doing, not because of what they're doing. You can't change that other soul.
Yeah.
And you want to be in that relationship, so you have to accept them the way they are. Period. So there's a lot of stuff that goes on to this trying to be this higher and wonderful soul, but it's got to start from you.
I agree.
I mean, and I I can take that, just for Sky, because of my own personal experience. Because I was, someday I'll write a book on my life, because it's not always, it's rarely ever been pretty, but I was in a relationship for 12 years that was a very domestic violence, emotional, mental. You take it. I was that victim. And I can remember accepting him in all of his entirety. I didn't care about his beating years. I didn't care about his lying. I didn't care about his cheating. I didn't care about his drug abuse. I accepted him 110%. Because I'd seen that, most of his life was a screwed up life, making the man that he was. Okay. And yeah, that can be like that victim falling in love with somebody, blah, blah, blah. I get it. When I chose to leave, I remember looking at him and going, you've killed me 9 other lifetimes. You're not getting me in this one. I need to leave now. Right. And everybody after I left had pointed a finger like he was this and he was that and he shouldn't have done that. And I went, whoa, guys, hold on. Yeah, he is all that. But it was my choice to stay there. Yep. He could only do to me as long as I was there. Did I have to do some healing after that? Yeah, I had to do a lot of healing to get out of that victim mentality and feel safe and secure, around people. But I had to own who I was and say, I made my choice to stay there. I made my choice to give up my money. I made my choices for whatever reason. And I'm a firm believer it was because we needed to finish off some lifetimes. I did not want to go back to that again. I'd had enough, you know. So and people don't realize that sometimes.
But it made you become the better healer that you are now because of it.
Oh,
because you've seen that and you've been able to grow. And in our readings, that's our biggest thing is most people. That's what we help with because we have to show them that it's their choices. Yes. That person didn't make you do a damn thing. That's person, right. You made yourself do that damn thing. You did. You got to accept it.
To see both sides of it,
Right.
And then help both sides to heal.
Correct.
All right, let me ask you. Let's move on. I have another question for you because I know we can talk about this all day long, Scotty. I know you can.
I can, yes.
You know, one of these days I'm going to just like film you at a pulpit, dude.
All right.
That's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to do.
We'd have a good time.
Yeah, you'll be like the nun, and I'll be like that kid who holds the candle next to him and just go, yes,
Larry will be out here filming it.
Yeah, Larry will have the camera, and away we go.
Here we go.
So
Like
one thing
Larry.
have you ever come across anybody that you're given a reading for, and you just knew that something different is with this individual inside? As in, let me explain, like possession. Like there's a thing that's called perfect possession. Perfect possession is possession where somebody lives with something and they're fine with it, and they know that they're possessed by something other than themselves. Have you ever come across something like that where like you knew someone else was driving with this individual?
Are you talking about like a walk-in? Or
almost like a walk-in, but it's not a human
like
walk-in. No.
The Wasika Wonder.
Well, the Watsika Wonder is from a spirit
Right.
that walked into Lorancy Venom.
Right.
But what I'm saying is something that is inhuman that walks inside of inside of an individual that they sit down and they want to have a reading from you. Have you ever got something like that?
I have not had that with me, as far as I know. I did have it with me a year ago. You know, that was classic for 2 weeks. That's how I walked. You know, and I can tell you from my own experience, it felt heavy. I felt off. I felt sidestepped.
That was more of a walk-in, though.
Yeah, it was more of a walk-in with us. Well, the one woman was a walk-in, and then whatever entity was there. But I've never had somebody sit down in front of me that I felt that from. No.
Okay. What about you, Scotty? Have you ever felt that?
Doing a lot longer.
No, the thing is, I do believe in possession, but not in demonic, because I don't believe in demons.
Okay.
I don't believe in hell. I don't believe in that. So for me to go down there, that would take a lot. Do I believe that there's evil? Yes, I believe a lot of humans are evil, and I believe a lot of ghosts are evil. And because they know the difference between right and wrong, and they choose not to. You know, I've worked with serial killers that are still serial killers on the other side. Right. And they're still, just like I did at Fox Hollow Farms. I guess that's the modern name for that place. I was one of the first psychic mediums ever on site. But he was evil. He was still causing issues with the spirits there and trying to keep them there from them crossing over. And so that to me is evil. Yeah. But is it somebody that was born or that was created to be this evil? How do you know evil if you don't know the difference between right and wrong?
Right.
If you've never done right or wrong, and you're always just evil, that doesn't make sense to me.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and I've read
if like you can't define your actions,
right?
Then how do you know they're evil?
Right or wrong?
Right. And I always look at it because like I use the term entity very loosely, because I look at people like, okay, what's an entity? It's a really pissed off grandpa. And they kind of look at me and I'm like, if you've been upset, really pissed, and you hold a grudge, and now it's been 200 years, you might start not looking so much like a human anymore. You might start looking like the anger. You might start looking like that shadow. You might start looking at like all these things. Who am I to say? I'm not on that other side right now. But for all the cases that I've remote viewed for, and they've said, we need to know if there's an entity there. We need to know if there's a devil there. 1, I have yet to see the devil. 2, I've not yet to see an actual demon. What I've seen is some ugly things that are just really pissed off people or souls that have been really pissed off a long time.
Yep.
You know,
so you would say, I'm sorry.
No,
so
we both
you would say it's a progression of that person's soul deteriorating up until what people would sometimes think of as demons.
Not to that point.
Where it's given a physical look.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, yeah.
You're trying to think of a soul essentially looking like this.
Yes.
You know, this is my body. This is not my soul. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no,
So
I got
it's
it.
kind of like now, what does a soul look like? You know, I've seen them, I've seen them look like they do in this lifetime. I've seen them look like they do in another lifetime. I've seen them as a more advanced soul where they're just kind of like a wispy thing on the other side because they've joined some kind of collective.
Right.
You know what I mean? So first we have to get out of the thought process that the soul has 2 legs, 2 arms, and a head.
See, yeah, that's, I mean, but the thing is, if grandpa, okay, say your grandpa comes through, right?
Right.
Neil, your grandpa comes to us. Your grandpa's going to show himself like your grandpa because I can see spirit. So if I try to describe your grandpa to you and I say, oh, he's this wispy guy that's very happy, and yet in life, grandpa was a pain in the butt, you're going to go, that's not my grandpa. Grandpa was a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
So grandpa comes to me as the pain in the butt, but then he goes right into his love and he starts showing me and telling me what he wants to talk to you about, how you're messing up. Then I know that he's already crossed over. He's of love. He just did that so you would recognize him.
Right. He was someone else before he became grandpa.
Yeah, but still, he could be somebody else now, but he's still trying to show you so you believe.
Right.
Because if we tell you that we tell you your dad never swore and yet that's all he ever said in life, you wouldn't believe us.
Right. Like I was telling my daughter, we were talking a couple of weeks ago. I said, you think you know me, but you only know me as dad. I go, right. I have had other identities in life.
Right.
And, you know, and I explained that to her is that sometime in my life, I did this, I did that. And that's the kind of individual I was with that. But when I became a dad, I had to take on a totally, I always use it like the person of many hats. You have to wear that hat for the day.
You do.
So I was the dad. I had to put on that hat. And I had to go to a job. I had to put on that hat.
But then your spirit has to do that too, so that the medium can recognize you and be able to translate it in a way where it makes sense to you. So you believe us. So you listen to what they have to say.
All right. Yep. I agree. Now, DeEtte, we are getting close to the hour. So I want to
believe that already. Holy heck.
Because this is good conversation, dude.
Exactly.
This is good conversation. So let's talk about the event that we're going to be having, the Seance at the Roth House. Now, for the listeners, is it all right, DeEtte, if I tell them the story about my mom?
Yes. Okay. I don't remember it very well, but yes. Although Scotty will enjoy part of it where we go, no, you do not.
I actually called Scotty the next day and I told him this whole story.
I already know.
He had to be proud of me then because I put my foot down.
I was.
Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, we were, me and DeEtte, we were at the Roth House where we had to do our B-roll film. That's what Larry calls it, B-roll film, where we get interviewed and what, what we think of the house, what's going on, right? And I'm sitting there and I have headphones on to listen for any outside noise if I'm picking up on anything, right? And Larry is there. He's got the camera. He's doing what Larry does. And DeEtte's sitting there and she keeps going, all right, this lady's trying to come through and she's trying to talk. And in my head, I'm thinking she's talking about whoever's the spirit that's living in this house. Okay. So I'm not even thinking that she's talking to my mom. And she all of a sudden looked at me and I'm just like, in my head, I'm like, what are you doing? And then all of a sudden she started talking because I was in the zone that we were talking about the Roth House. But for whatever reason, this lady who kept pestering DeEtte wanted to speak to me and tell me about me. And it was my mom and she came through.
She tried to trance me though, Scotty. She tried to jump in. I was like,
good,
no.
I'm glad you said no.
No.
You learned.
And
you learned.
So at first I was thrown off because in my regular life, I've rarely ever let anybody read me for personal reasons.
And then he gets to like 2 mediums. What kind of pain in the butt is he ready for?
Right. So at first, because of personal reasons, I don't. If I choose to, then I choose to. So at first, I'm listening to DeEtte, and at first, I'm not going to lie to you, DeEtte, I felt a little angry.
Oh.
I was like, what is she doing? Why is she bringing this stuff up? So she started telling me about my mom and certain things, right? And just like I am now, I was getting emotional. And I'm like, hold on. Oh, I got to get that out of my system. So I got emotional and I had to leave. And I went outside. But the thing was, that put me back in my zone to know why I'm doing what I'm doing. And when it put me back in my zone, I was able to talk exactly the way I wanted it to come out for everybody to understand why I'm doing what I'm doing. Because there is a reason and rhyme for everything that I do. And the emotional state I was in, I was like, oh my God. And it was just amazing what DeEtte did. It truly was. And in the end, I appreciate it. Maybe my mom was trying to reach out to get me back to way I'm supposed to be thinking about what I'm doing.
Maybe.
And that's how I took it, is that, and you heard me, I said, let's do this now. Let's do this now. Yep. Because I recognize that there's a reason to rhyme. Like there's a reason to rhyme for everything. And it was just an amazing thing. So I tell people, DeEtte, she's for real, man. And I told Sky that. I said, oh my God. It was just amazing. And I have to thank you still for that. Even though at first I was like, well, what the hell is this girl doing?
And I don't know. I will tell you, I do have my own personal rule. And Scotty may not follow the same rules, but I don't walk up to people and just give readings. It's not something I do. For myself, I think it's unethical to walk up to somebody and say, hey, I got your mom, you know?
Yeah.
It may not be wanted. They're not in the frame of mind for this. It's not in the place. And I will tell Spirit, hey.
You don't know where they are in their healing.
Exactly.
You don't know where they are, right?
And I will even tell Spirit, and if they come through and they're like, I need to talk to them, I'll go, let's see. Hey, what do you do for a living? Let's get a conversation going on. And you go, hey, what do you do for? I'm a medium. Oh, God, I wish I could talk to my mom. Well, just so happens I got her.
Right.
Now, I mean, if I have a spirit that's pushy that way, I will do it that way because I still want it to always come from you. There's only been twice in my career that it literally was like, you're going to do this whether you like it, and it's coming out now. And she got me where I'm battling her. Like, nope, I'm not trancing you. I don't know who you are. I'm not trancing, not doing it. Oh my God, it's yours. I was already in the reading. She had already fought to try to take over. So it was like, okay, here we go. And when you came back and said, no, my mom could be quite stubborn. And it was like, oh, this is just part of her personality. This is just part of her. But yeah, that's not something normally. I will normally look at you and say, is it okay? I think I have your mom, and do it that way.
But see, for me, when you do this, anytime you're in a situation with me and we're filming, we're doing the Paranormal Guys podcast. Anytime that we're talking spiritual stuff and you're here with me, you're game on.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
And I always go, and I will always bring whoever's here with me because it's game on. Yeah. It's I don't walk up to you in a grocery store and say your grandma's here. I don't do that. But if you're in here and we're talking about this and grandma comes right in, grandma's coming right out because she's got stuff to say. And that's and I saw this with Satori Hawes, Jason's daughter. Mm-hmm. They were on a show with the guy, I forget the other show they were with. But anyway, they were bringing spirits in, and they were all surprised that spirits come in at other locations for you and your family. It's because it's game on. They have a chance to come in. Your mom had the chance to come in, and DeEtte was there, and DeEtte's amazing, and DeEtte hears her, so she's going to come through because here's a chance for your mom to talk to you, Neil. Yeah, mom's going to do it no matter where you are. But that's what it is game on, because when they're ready, they're coming through.
Right. No, I totally get it.
But most of the time with you, you're closed and you're doing it, but mom had to come through.
Right. And that's what I'm trying to explain to a lot of people. I picked this place here, and people don't know. I've only told DeEtte and Larry this story real quick, Scotty. At least I think I may have told Dave. I think I did tell everybody at the last week when we were out last week. But I was actually hoping and praying that DeEtte, I had it in my mind that DeEtte needs to be the medium for this thing. And I said, I hope she reaches out to me. And sure enough, she was actually the one of the girls who reached out to me. And I said, it's done. I go, it's done. And I remember I was talking to you from the gym, and I was talking, and I said, oh my God. When I got off the phone, I go, yeah. I go, damn right. And then what's weird is, so me and Larry have been talking for a while, right? And then all of a sudden I find out these guys are like best friends. And I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden we all three of us come together and we're doing what we're doing. I really do believe that there is a reason and rhyme for certain things.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually have something to say, but it's going to be on the day that we do what we're going to do with the seance.
Okay.
And I think it's going to make better sense. It's just, I have to wait. And then I'm going to explain something. But, yeah. And man, it was just amazing. It really is. I'm looking forward to the seance, and you were doing great. I was watching a lot of the little videos that we've been doing lately, because me and Larry have to go over them. But you're doing a great job.
Oh, I'm glad.
Yeah.
Larry told me, he goes, yeah, you nailed it. You just don't know you nailed it. I went, okay, I'll trust that.
Well, DeEtte, I want to say thank you very much for coming out. Scotty, this has been a great conversation tonight, hasn't it?
It sure has.
Yeah.
I love this.
Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's getting close to spooky season. And as always, boo.